What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on these analysis. We're going to be checking out MSTR and Bitcoin today. So we finished the week at 344.75, pretty much sideways this entire piece here. We're up on the week, but like I said, for this entire piece, pretty much a sideways move. Still waiting to break these bearish ideas with this 0.5 and the 618. So sitting at 365 to around 376. That's a level that we have to break along with this key level of support here and resistance. Hopefully we can use that as support, and of course the 0.5 and 618 to continue higher and make our move to the top right here, this downward sloping trend line. That's what we want to see, and hopefully break through that and continue the trend. Of course, we have to keep in mind of the possibility for a move down. Right now we actually look like we could be forming somewhat of an inverse head and shoulders. I'm kind of seeing that right now as I take a look here. Potential left shoulder, potential head here, and maybe we end up pushing up, finding rejection, and as we push back up, that forms that right shoulder for a move higher. That would be nice to see, and your measured move would be from the top of the head to the neckline, and then you would move that up higher and have your price target. Just an idea. We'll see if it ends up playing out. It does look pretty decent right now. The formation of the inverse head and shoulders. They're not always guaranteed to play out, but it does increase your odds of potential upside once you see something like that forming. Of course, we'll see. We did find a little bit of rejection once we pushed back up here. Of course, we had somewhat of an idea that it could happen, as this is the midline or mid zone of this entire channel right here. So that's a major level right there. And we cannot forget about our major golden zone to the downside, which we still haven't pushed up to yet, at 387 to 424. That's one that we were speaking of when we were down here. Said that it would be a lot of resistance, and that's exactly what ended up happening. Honestly, now that I actually look at it, looks like a weird right shoulder here, but this could also be some kind of a head and shoulder, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and that was the move down. Hopefully that was the end of the move, and we can start seeing a little bit of life here to the upside. The past 2 days for MSTR divided by IBIT were positive, so that's nice to see. 2 back-to-back green days is always good. We'll see if the momentum can continue, though. Of course, that's what we need. On the weekly, closed higher than the last 2 weeks, pretty much equal to this open over here on the week of August 25th. So hopefully this thing can start pushing higher and getting higher closes, eventually surpassing this key structure. And on the SMAs, we ended up closing right above the 50, which is perfect. Hopefully we use that as support. Maybe we wick down a little bit, and ideally would be to fill this wick with a nice green candle, a green engulfing solid candle. That's what we want to see next week. And on the daily, we held our 20, got a bounce off of it, and we're still between the 200 and the 20. That 200 is a very, very strong level. As you can see, we found rejection 2 times back to back. And on the 4 hour, we're sitting right on the 50. Use that as a little bit of support. Hopefully this trend can continue higher. Hopefully once we surpass 358, we have enough firepower to break through this entire structure and hopefully meet this 4 hour 200 moving average. On the weekly Bollinger Bands, looks like we just pushed down to the bottom, got a touch, and kind of shot off of it. And on the daily, we actually found a little bit of rejection off of that top band, where you can see this green candle pushed up, and then we kind of saw a little bit of rejection here off of this daily candle here for Friday. On Bitcoin, we haven't had our weekly close just yet. We have 1 day and 21 hours, so a lot can happen. Ideally, like I said before, we want to get a close above 116.2. That's the ideal scenario. Right now, we're in this weird in between. We are creating higher lows, so it's pretty solid right there. We like to see that. That's a good sign. Hopefully we don't lose this. If we do lose it, if we lose this upward sloping trend line and this key structure right here, then we could be looking at some kind of move down, retest, and potential move to this next structure, and then maybe find a bounce there. Hopefully we just hold this because we have confluence with this structure, although we're kind of in between it right now. So I don't know if it's acting as support or resistance, kind of in this weird spot, but we do have support for sure with this trend line. So hopefully that's enough to support price and continue higher, hopefully surpassing 118 and then making our move to the top of the channel. Maybe create a nice ascending triangle along the way. Maybe we can start doing something like that as this continues, and then we can push through that level as we ride that momentum up this trend line, and we find that resistance at this level. Hopefully that's it can allow price to build up some pressure and spike out of here. On the monthly, we're still in the same spot where we're looking for a close at 115.7 or higher. Somewhere inside of these wicks is the ideal scenario for us. On the 3-month, we still have 10 days. Right now, this is the best 3-month candle that we've seen so far in terms of closes or potential closes. As long as we close above 107, we closed higher than any other 3-month candle in Bitcoin's history. So ideally, at this structure or higher would be ideal. Maybe if we close right in this area, maybe the next 3-month candle will be a wick down, and then hopefully we wick fill this, and that would be, it should be the grand finale in terms of time. If we're going off a time basis for Bitcoin cycle, which obviously things are subject to change, but in terms of time, that would be the big bang apparently, because it's supposed to be Q4 of 2025 every 4 years. So we had it 17, 21, it's supposed to be in October, November, or December of 2025 that we're supposed to see some upside. Maybe it pushes out to the next 3 months. So we'll be looking for that. But like I said, if we could get a close somewhere in this region and wick fill this, that would be nice, and maybe make our push all the way to this dotted line, maybe touch 140 or something like that. That'd be ideal. Even higher, of course, who wouldn't want that? Global liquidity is still continuing higher. This thing's looking really, really nice right now. Hopefully we can start to get a steep move, and that'll translate into Bitcoin's price in the future. Right now, I don't think we have seen this large move to the downside just yet. So I don't know exactly where we're at in this liquidity cycle, but I do think there's going to be some kind of large drawdown, hopefully after a major move up. That would be the ideal scenario, of course. That's what we'll be looking for. And we are sitting above our 8-week EMA currently, and our daily, we just fell slightly underneath it. So hopefully we can get back above that and continue this trend that we've had established for a while. Maybe this is just going to be a little wick and start to push up higher. Looks like we're getting a bounce on the dollar. Could be signaling a little bit of that weakness into Bitcoin. Maybe that's part of the reason. Whenever you get a bounce on the dollar, typically risk on assets have a little bit of weakness. It's not 100% inversely correlated like tether dominance is. But it's just something to take into consideration. And we were talking about it too, where we're saying we're very short-term bearish, but we're still bullish at the same time because of this long-term established upward sloping trend line that it's so hard to ignore. Even when we're down here, getting closes on the daily, it just doesn't feel like that's just the move just yet, because it's such a strong level. It's hard to say that we're going to continue on down for a long time. And I was saying if we do make a move down here, it's probably going to be short-lived. I don't know if that was the actual move or we're going to get another move down. Either way, I still think it'll be short-lived. We close outside of it for 1 trading day, and we're right back inside of it for the next 3 trading days. We went up on the dollar. So we're just going to keep our eye on that. Hopefully it starts to push back down. At the same time, this could be the formation of a double bottom too. When you take a look here, you can see that we have that first right here, and now boom, that could be that double bottom, or you never know, it could be a triple bottom. That could be that first one right there. Kind of makes sense. It does kind of line up. You also could actually have a potential inverse head and shoulders. It looks a little funny though. It depends on how you draw it though. That would kind of be the one there. I don't even know if we'd need more for it to actually play out. You would have to get a move. You'd have to get a move to 99 for the inverse head and shoulders to actually play out. So if that were to play out, then you could start talking about higher targets, and then you go from the head to the neckline, and you measure that out, and then you could get a major spike on the dollar, and that would probably bring some weakness to risk on assets if we get a large move of $6 to the upside from 97 to 103. That'll definitely bring some weakness for risk on assets. So keep an eye out on this for sure. And of course, tether dominance, we're going to keep an eye out on that. We did get a close back above this structure or equal with it. Definitely not what we want to see. Part of the weakness for Bitcoin right now for sure. Creating some kind of double bottom. Hopefully it's just a bear flag for continuation down. Like we said, we want to see this move here play out and touch that trend line to the downside. That's what we want to see. But like at the same time, we're always open to multiple ideas on this channel. So don't ever come here thinking it's just going to be one way here. I'm going to talk about both scenarios that I see. This could also be that double bottom for a move up higher, which would bring for sure weakness on Bitcoin. And that might correspond with a move up on the dollar. If the dollar rallies and it is a double bottom, this could be a double bottom as well. And they rally, together and bring weakness to Bitcoin and risk on assets as a whole. Just a quick video for you guys. Weekly wrap up. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you guys in the next one.